Romanov family was the last imperial dynasty to rule Russia. They first came to the power in 1613, and over the next 3 centuries, 18 Romanovs took the Russian throne, including Peter the Great, Catherine the Great, Alexander I, and Nicholas II. During the Russian Revolution of 1917, Bolshevik revolutionaries collapsed the monarchy, ending the Romanov dynasty. Tsar Nicholas II and his entire family, including his young children, were later executed by Bolshevik troops. The Romanovs were high-ranking aristocrats in Russia during the 16th and 17th centuries. In 1613, Mikhail Romanov became the first Romanov Tsar of Russia, following a 15-year period of political disruption after the fall of the Russians' medieval Rurik dynasty. He took the name Michael I. Michael's first grandson, Peter I, also known as the Peter the Great, transformed Russia from landlocked state into one of Europe's largest empires. Through wars against the Ottoman Empire and the Empire of Sweden, Russia expanded its territory and became the dominant power in both the Baltic and Black Sea regions. Peter I declared himself emperor of the newly formed Russian Empire in 1721, a position he held until his death in 1725. During the reign of the Romanov leader Catherine II, also known as the Catherine the Great, the Russian Empire grew larger and stronger. The period of the Catherine's rule, 1762 to 1796, is often called the Golden Age of the Russian Empire. Catherine II was a sophisticated pattern of the arts, and during her reign, Russia adopted Western European philosophies and culture. In later years, a campaign by Russian Emperor Alexander I represented a turning point in Napoleonic Wars. The French invaded Russia in 1812. At the height of Napoleon Bonaparte's power, Alexander I's army defeated the French troops, and that made Napoleon's reputation and leadership weakening over much of Europe. Tsar Nicholas II was the last Romanov emperor ruling from 1894 until his forced abdication in March of 1917. The duration of his rule was periods of the political and social unrest. When he succeeded his father, Tsar Alexander III, Nicholas II had a little experience in government. He was widely seen as politically weak and indecisive leader. His poor handling of the Russia-Japanese War of 1904-1905, subsequent uprising of the Russian workers known as the Bloody Sunday in 1905, and Russia's involvement in World War I, and those were speed up the fall of the Russian Empire. Tsar Nicholas II married Princess Alex of Hesse, a duchy in the German Empire, in 1894, shortly after his coronation. Alex, who will later take name the Alexandra Fyodorovna, was a granddaughter of the Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom. Nicholas and Alexandra had 4 daughters, Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia, and 1 son, Alexei. Alexandra's behavior and distaste for Russian culture was lead her unpopular to Russian people. Her German ancestry and her devotion to Russian mystic Grigory Rasputin contributed to her unpopularity. She believed the self-proclaimed holy man could cure her son Alexei's chronic illness. Alexei, the only son and heir to the throne, suffered from severe hemophilia. Many relatives of the Queen Victoria inherited the disease, which was sometimes referred to as royal disease. He must avoid it as much as possible any injury happening. Rasputin's powerful influence on the ruling family infuriated nobles, church leaders, and peasants. Many people saw him as a religious impostor, and Russian nobles ended his influence, and Rasputin murdered on December 16, 1916. Tsar Nicholas II left St. Petersburg in 1915 to take command of the fallen Russian army front in World War I. By 1917, most Russians had lost all faith in the leadership ability of the Tsar. Government corruption was rampant, and the Russian economy was severely damaged by World War I. many people joined with the radical Bolshevik revolutionaries to overthrow Tsar dynasty. Nicholas II abdicated the throne on March 15, 1917, ended Romanovs' rule, which was ruling more than 300 years. During the Russian Revolution in November 1917, radical socialist Bolsheviks led by Vladimir Lenin seized power in Russia from a provisional government and established the world's first communist state. The imperial family was sent to live under house arrest in Siberia. In April and May 1918, members of the Romanov family relocated to Ipatiev House, a merchant's house in Yekaterinburg. After the revolution, outbreak of civil war between Bolshevik Red Army and the anti-Bolshevik White Russian forces started in June. By July, the White Army was advancing on Yekaterinburg. Local authorities were ordered to prevent a rescue of Romanovs, and after a secret meeting of the Yekaterinburg Soviet, the imperial family was sentenced to death. On the night of July 16, 1918, the family was ordered to dress and go down the cellar of the Ipatiev house, where they were lined up as if posing for a family photograph. In there, they were shot by firing too many bullets to death by Bolshevik troops. In 1979, the bodies of Tsar Nicholas II, Tsaritsa Alexandra, 3 of their daughters, and those of 4 non-family members killed with them were discovered near Sverdlovsk, Yekaterinburg, by amateur archaeologist Alexander Avdonin. In January 1998, the remains excavated from underneath dirt road near Yekaterinburg were officially identified as those of Nicholas II and his family, excluding 1 daughter and Alexei. After DNA testing of the 1998, the remains of the emperor and his family were interred at St. Peter and Paul Cathedral, St. Petersburg, on 17 July 1998. The ceremony was attended by Russian President Boris Yeltsin, who said, "Today is a historic day for Russia. For many years we kept quiet about this monstrous crime, but truth has to be spoken." The remains of Alexei and one of his sisters remained a mystery until 2007, when a second grave was discovered near the larger mass grave. The grave contained the remains of the 2 partially burned skeletons, which subsequent DNA testing showed to belong to Alexei and one of his sisters, likely Anastasia or Maria.